There are lots of options for where to stay in Tokyo, so today I'll help you decide which is right for you, as well as where not to stay and how to choose your hotel. And if you've been to Tokyo before, share your experiences in the comments, tell us where you've stayed and what you thought of it. My book also has help with this. It has a lot more practical information than a regular guidebook, including how to book everything and checklists based on my 15 years of real life experience planning trips to Japan. You can get it from cakeswithfaces.co.uk with worldwide shipping. Now, if you've been subscribed to my channel for a while, you'll probably know this already, but my favourite place to stay in Tokyo is Shinjuku because it feels very Tokyo. You've got neon lights, skyscrapers, lots going on. There's lots of shops, restaurants, arcades, nightlife. There's just so much there, and it's all open until really late at night. It's also really well connected. You're on the Yamanote line, which is a loop that goes all the way around Tokyo. You've got a couple of metro lines and the Churo line, which in my opinion is the most underrated train line in Tokyo. It goes across the city, so when you need to get over to the east side, taking a rapid train on the Churo line is quicker and more direct than the metro. Most people don't see it on the map because it's just a faint line, but it's so useful. Now, Shinjuku Station is the busiest station in the world, so it's not for everyone. Some people prefer staying at a smaller station that's easier to navigate. And not everyone likes staying in a busy place. But if you still like the sound of Shinjuku, you could try staying near one of the smaller stations like Tochomai or Higashi Shinjuku. Really, the main areas to the east of Shinjuku Station, the west is more businessy and less hectic, although there are quieter streets on the east side too. I'd recommend choosing a hotel and then just dropping in on Google Street View to see what the general vibe is like. There are lots of hotels in Kabukicho, which many people say is the bad area of Tokyo. It is the red light district, but just walking around the streets, it's not dangerous. You'll only get into trouble if you let the touts drag you into their sketchy bars where tourists sometimes have their drinks spiked and their money stolen. So just stay out of those dodgy bars, ignore the touts, and you'll be absolutely fine. I've stayed there many times. And there's more about that in my recent video about the Hotel Gracery, which is the Godzilla Hotel. Next is Shibuya, which on paper is very similar to Shinjuku. It's a major city centre area with lots of shops, nightlife, and lots going on. The location's very similar to Shinjuku. They're actually only 2 miles, that's 3 kilometers apart. You can walk to Harajuku. If you're on this west side of Tokyo, it's really quick to get between Ikebukuro, Shinjuku, and Shibuya on the train in as little as 11 minutes if you take the Saikyo line. In my opinion, I prefer Shinjuku to Shibuya just because Shinjuku feels more spacious. The centre of Shibuya is smaller, so the crowds feel more concentrated. The streets feel smaller and more cramped. But that's just my opinion. Shibuya is a good place to stay. If your dream of staying in Tokyo is being near Shibuya Crossing and that just appeals to you, it is a great choice. I once had a view of Shibuya Crossing from my hotel room and that was pretty exciting. Now, I think Ikebukuro is often overlooked, but it is another major city centre area with lots there. There's so much there for anime fans these days, and of course all the Pokemon stuff, and hotels there can be slightly cheaper. I'd stay somewhere near Sunshine City Mall, which is huge and great to have on your doorstep. Even though it looks like you're out in the corner on the metro map, the location is good. You're on the Yamanote line, and some day trips out of Tokyo go from Ikebukuro Station. Next, the Tokyo Station area might not be the most exciting part of Tokyo. Right outside the station it is a bit businessy, but you can walk to the Imperial Palace. Tsukiji Market's not far away for a sushi breakfast, and you can walk to Ginza, the designer shopping area. Shimbashi is really close with more affordable restaurants and bars. It's where salarymen go out drinking after a long day at the office. Akihabara is only 4 minutes away on the train, and if you're going to Tokyo Disney, it's a great place to stay because there's a direct train there in only 16 minutes on the Keio line. You're on the Yamanote line, which is always good, and my favourite, the Chuo line, will take you over to the west side of Tokyo really quickly. You can easily walk to several metro stations that are really well connected, including Otemachi, Yurakucho and Hibiya, and Nihonbashi. Just look at all those lines for getting around wherever you want to go. You can also take the Shinkansen from Tokyo Station, so if you're only in Tokyo for a short time, you don't have to worry about changing trains multiple times with your luggage or travelling across Tokyo to catch an early train. Shinagawa Station also has the Shinkansen, but it's a bit out the way. I usually use the metro map to navigate, but if you look at the actual physical map, it is quite far south and there's not that much there. Although last time their kurasushi was the only one I didn't have to queue for, so maybe that's a tip. And if you're taking the bullet train north or east, they also stop at Ueno Station. I think a lot of people don't realise that's a Shinkansen station too. Next up, Shimbashi and Shiodome are walkable from Tokyo Station in about 20 minutes to half an hour, or just a couple of stops on the train. So their location's quite similar and there are lots of great hotels there. Shimbashi has a lot of restaurants. It's quite a down-to-earth, everyday sort of place. When I've stayed there, it feels quite low-key and relaxed. Personally, I kind of miss not having arcades to pop into in the evening, but that's just me. Shiodome next door is a business district. That's where I stayed on my very first trip to Tokyo. It feels quite modern and futuristic with trains on elevated rails and the Shinkansen going through. Now, hotels over in Ueno and Asakusa are slightly cheaper because the area is a bit older, it's less modern and shiny. Ueno has Ueno Park with lots of museums, there's Ame Yokocho for street food, and Akihabara is only 4 minutes away on the train. Some parts of Ueno are a little sketchy. There's a red light district north of Ueno Park, and there are some homeless people, but it's not dangerous, it's just a bit run down, and Ueno as a whole is definitely not a bad place to stay. Out of the two, I'd say Ueno has a slightly better location than Asakusa because it's on the Yamanote line and Asakusa is slightly over in the corner. But some hotels in Asakusa have a lovely view of the river with the Sky Tree and the Asahi building with the golden poop. So picturesque. You can walk to the Sky Tree from Asakusa, and of course there's Sensoji. If you only visit one temple in Tokyo, it'll probably be that one, so it is quite touristy. But if you stay there, it can be really nice walking around Sensoji in the evening when the shops are shut and everyone's gone home. It's much more peaceful and atmospheric than during the daytime. Next, Akasaka, not to be confused with Asakusa, is right in the middle of Tokyo. It is more of a business district, so it's not the most exciting place, but it's a more chilled place to stay and a solid choice with lots of hotels. Its main benefit is because it's in the middle, it's easy to get around. It may not be on the beloved Yamanote line, but just look at how many connections some of these stations have. Tameka Sano and Asakusa Mitsuke both have so many lines. It's not far from Roppongi, which has fancy shopping malls, 3 major art galleries, Team Lab Borderless, and then Tokyo Tower, and nightlife. It's really popular with expats. Next, Odaiba is over in Tokyo Bay. Here you can get larger rooms for a good price and lovely views of the sea and the bay. It's a more relaxed area. It's more spacious, futuristic looking, and feels quite different to central Tokyo. You're close to Team Lab Planets, Small Worlds Tokyo, the Giant Gundam, and several shopping malls. But whenever I spend the day in Odaiba, I notice I'm spending slightly more on trains. So that's a consideration if you're doing that route every day to get to and from your hotel. The train lines to Odaiba are run by a different company, so that's why the pricing's slightly different. If you're planning on getting a day pass for the metro, the Rinkai and Yurakomome lines aren't included in that. You can use your Suica card though. You might not mind spending a bit more on trains if your hotel room's cheaper, but it does also take a bit more time to get around. For example, if you're staying here, to get to Sensoji in Asakusa, it takes 50 minutes and costs 610 yen. Shibuya is 25 minutes away and 510 yen, and Team Lab Borderless is 39 minutes and 690 yen. Maybe that's not that much, but if you were staying somewhere more central, like Akasaka Mitsuke, Sensoji is only 25 minutes and 210 yen. Shibuya is just 7 minutes and 180 yen. And Team Lab Borderless is 12 minutes and 180 yen. So that's about a third of the price and much less time. I think when you're on a short trip, your time is valuable, but everyone has different priorities. I've had lots of comments from people who stayed in Odaiba and loved it. Some people even don't mind staying out in the suburbs in Setagaya and spending half an hour on the train each morning and evening to get into central Tokyo. So everyone has different preferences. So just know that Odaiba has slightly larger rooms for a good price, possible sea views, but slightly longer travelling time. Personally, I wouldn't stay east of the river or near the Skytree, just because most of the things you're going to want to do are on the west side of the river, and it can feel like a bit of a trek to get over there. I also wouldn't stay near Haneda Airport unless it's just for one night before you fly. While it is quick to get into the city, it's not that convenient for day-to-day sightseeing. As I mentioned earlier, lots of people say Kabukicho is the bad area of Tokyo, but it's not dangerous. I've stayed there many times. I think it's a great place to stay. There's also Ugui Sudani, which is the area I mentioned earlier, just north of Ueno Park, which is a red light district, but that's just a bit run down. It's not unsafe. Crime rates in Japan are low, so compared to the bad areas in other cities, these places are pretty safe, and there's nowhere you really need to worry about or avoid. And that's one of the great things about going to Japan. Now, people often ask me if this given area is any good to stay in. I'd recommend looking at the closest station and what lines it's on, and if you can walk to any other stations. Some stations have just one line and some have several, so look at where they go, and that'll give you an idea of how easy it'll be to get around from there as a base. But wherever you stay in central Tokyo, there'll probably be several convenience stores within walking distance and about 20 vending machines where you can get drinks at all hours. Some areas are more convenient than others, but nowhere's completely out in the sticks, especially if it's within the Yamanote line or close to it. People often ask which hotel to stay in, but there are so many hotels in Tokyo, there's really no need to stick to recommendations from other people. Here's what I do. First, choose the area you want to stay in, then put your price range into Expedia or your favourite hotel website. Then pick somewhere that's close to a station. You'll be taking the train a lot and your feet will hurt at the end of the day after lots of walking, so you'll appreciate that short walk home. Check the reviews quickly, but in 15 years of travelling to Japan, I've honestly never had a bad experience. That doesn't mean all hotel rooms are good, but Japan isn't really the sort of place you need to worry about your room not being clean or not in good condition. Just don't expect a very big room. I have a whole video about choosing a hotel that's in my Japanning playlist, and my book has help with that too. So I hope that helps you plan your trip. If you have any questions, just ask, and remember to share your experiences in the comments. And I'll see you next week with more Japan videos on Thursday. Bye bye!